to Mind of a Man. I'm your host, Elder Jones, and we just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing us to come into your space and spend some time with you. I have a beautiful host here. I always like my hosts to introduce themselves because I'm just a firm believer that no one can introduce you like you. Because we get a lot of cue cards and a lot of things that we say and accolades. We always read off the accolades. But people want to I like them to relax and, just be themselves.
All right.
So let's dive into this thing.
Okay, let's dive.
Tell us about you. Who are you, first of all?
Well, my married name, until I change it.
You mean the government name?
Yeah,
okay,
the government is Shameka S, but hopefully that'll change in the next couple of months back to my name, Shameka Chapple.
Okay. All right. So tell us more about you, Miss Shameka.
Well, I've been a contributing writer for Scars of Survival magazine. I do media coverage. I'm a mother, a grandmother. I have my own cleaning service.
Right.
I'm still trying to get my t-shirt line off the ground, What is a Mom, Master of Many, which is not about being a mother, but it's everything that we as mothers do. We have to be all around. So I'm trying to get that off the ground, as well as trying to get with my niece to try and get our Smile You're Beautiful foundation back up, which her and my late sister started that after I lost my daughter 9 years ago, whom had Down syndrome.
Oh, okay.
So Smile You're Beautiful was created to give those with disabilities a chance to put on designer clothes, to walk the runways, and just their smile matter because they are so overlooked.
Okay. So Shameka, tell us why you're here today.
Well, as I told Miss Carolyn, which she has known me, known my niece worked with her, I was in a situation that I got married last October 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
And come to find out, my husband was still married to his former wife. Just a lot of lies in between, a complete narcissist, a liar. We was in ministry together. And it said for those that had known him for a long time, they already knew what type of person this was and knew what he had did to a former wife number 4. I was wife number 6, need I mind you. So knew what he had did to another wife he had, ex-wife he had inside of the ministry, and the way he left out of the marriage by cheating and everything else. So it's been a total mess. He had me arrested. And I'm still going through it because even though he knows all this, he still have not went and filed to have the marriage declared null and void.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to pay the court costs and fees, the filing fees to get back in court so I can get my name back restored to me. He changed his number, blocked me from social media. Like I said, he went back to wife number 5, and it's just been a complete mess.
So when you say y'all were in ministry, did y'all have a church together?
No, we didn't have a church together. We set up under the same leadership together. But it's sad to say these two people knew him, and the only reason.
So the leadership knew?
Leadership knew. They knew. And the only reason I talked to him, because I used to go to church, speak to everybody, do what I need to do, and I would go home. And, he did things the way that he's supposed to have done it. He went to the pastor, inquired about me, was saying, Elder Shameka, I don't see her husband coming to church with her. So the pastor was like, oh no, she's not married. She'll make somebody a good wife. So he went through one of the other members trying to get my phone number, didn't get it from him. I supposed to have been at this 5K walk with them, but I got deterred by another situation trying to help another friend out. So he went to one of the other elders that he know had everybody number.
So I want to, as they say, I want to back that thing on up.
Back it up.
Back it on up. A leader who is over a particular body, over people. He says this thing. No, she's not married, and she'll make a good wife. But this is the same leader that he's been under.
More than one time, need I mind you.
With another significant other.
Yes.
And he still holds a leadership position.
Well,
I said that because if he was holding a leadership position before when you met him and they knew his history, why didn't they not sit him down and teach him?
That's what others that are connected to me wanted to know. They was like, why would they even allow him to talk to you?
Right.
And they know his past.
Right.
And a lot of times some leaders will say, well, it's not my business. We don't put people together. Well, you did, because he came to you. So I feel like as my covering, you should have told him no, because we know what happened the other times you have been here.
Well, do you think it's right? Let me say this. As a leader, what was you expecting from your leader?
I expect for a leader to keep me covered,
Okay.
to keep me safe, because I have a teenage daughter. My other kids are grown, but I have a teenage daughter, and, it's devastating because my kids have never just cared for anybody that I talk to, I guess because I'm mama.
Well, rightfully expected, they don't want to see you hurt.
Right. So when my older daughter and, my youngest daughter,
But a lot of people don't. A lot of people do say that.
I was like,
I don't want you.
I didn't even want to marry anybody unless I knew my kids was going to have a level of respect for them. Okay. So it was devastating when they finally thought they could trust somebody to be in my life, and this had to happen to their mother. Right.
So, well, a lot of seniors, they say, hey, it ain't none of our business. You grown. Y'all, as we say, we're grown folks. So you do what grown folks do. But you said there should have been a level of caring on the leadership part, because he initiated through the leaders. And they could have had a decency to set both of you down and ask him. So my next thing is, did y'all ever get any counseling?
No, he rushed the marriage, to be honest. They was going to do the counseling. At the time me and him met was a time when I was going through things with my mother, because I have a bedridden mother who's on dialysis.
Sorry to hear that.
Trying to argue with family because she didn't give me power of attorney. She gave it to my niece, whom she's raised from a baby. So that's like another sister to me, even though I lost my sister, but that's just like a sister. So it's like, we know she want to be home, but we all work.
So that was a distraction.
That was a distraction
from getting the counseling.
And when they was made aware of his intentions, because you're so concerned about Rosh Hashanah that was going on, what was going on ministry, even though you were saying counselor, but this is a cold, calculated person that's manipulative. Did you not think he was going to go behind your back and manipulate?
So tell people I know what Rosh Hashanah is. Tell people what Rosh Hashanah is.
Is it like the Hebrew or Jewish holiday?
It's a Jewish holiday.
Observe? Because when I got to that ministry, that's the first time I had heard anybody observing it.
Things like Yeshua, HaMashiach.
Yes.
You have, what is that called? Now it seems like I'm forgetting. Where they really, Yom Kippur.
Yes.
And then Booth that comes after.
Right. So
right after that.
All that was going on, and they was more focused on that. But I feel at a certain time, I can only say what I would do. If I was in that position, I know this person. I see what's going on. You know his ways. I would have taken that time to say, let me pull them in. Let me make this man tell her the truth.
Well, if they're doing observation of the first 5 books, right? How is it that they did not put him initially out as a leader?
He left the leadership 5 years ago after he destroyed another. Like I said, I got a chance to talk to wife now before. Me and her still communicating now. She stayed with him the longest for 21 years, and I had to ask her after everything she told me, from his drug addiction to him stealing from her. She had to have him locked up, had to have a TPO taken out on him, and just things he did. She regret that she put her youngest son out because of him. And I was like, she got set out multiple times and had to go stay with kids. And I was like, well, why did you stay with him? And she was like, well, I loved him. He was my assignment. No, I feel if a person is your assignment, then somewhere along that line, they would have changed their behavior pattern and ways. They would have did a total turnaround.
Right.
This individual find new ways to do what he do, and then after, marriage and everything else, that's when the true side of him comes out.
So tell me this. And all these calculations of marriage, does he do this in what we call the place of the house of the Lord?
Yes.
Is this where he
yes,
brings his
because the lady
attack?
that he's with now, that he had married before me, he met her in the church, and because she already had a business, and he's a master baker, he do little chef work, he do pastry, bakery work, whatever have you. It's like searching for folks that's opportunists. He's an opportunist.
Okay.
Looking for folks he feel he could prey off of.
So,
studying people and praying off people.
So my next thing is, do you look at leadership, since you've been through this situation here, or this ordeal, do you look at the leadership in the body of Christ differently? Or is it just this particular house?
It's this one, because if I had taken time like I should have, but like I said, I was caught up in that moment, and it felt good to have somebody to, because I'm so used to doing, because I'm so used to doing so much and taking on so much and taking care of everybody and not taking care of me. It felt good to have that person to be able to go out with, to be able to talk to, whatever have you, to do little things with it at that time. So it kind of felt good at that moment. Like I said, the true him didn't come out to after marriage. But if I had gotten him to my God brother, other people that knew me, that, my godson and everybody that knows me, if I had the opportunity to introduce him to them, I'm sure they would have called it out.
You think so?
I know so.
I'm going to challenge you on that.
I know so.
And the reason why I'm going to say I'm going to challenge you on that is because being a woman of God, do you think that God never let you know? That choice that
some
you
of
made.
the signs I feel was there, but because you're so caught up and so much going on around you, you're not paying attention to it.
Okay.
You're not paying attention
So it's not
to
that
those
he
little
didn't,
bitty signs.
right. So it wasn't that he didn't alert you not to go down this path or pick this individual. It's just that you weren't paying attention. Okay. So that's why I say I wanted to challenge you, because a lot of us, what happens is, it's not that we didn't know the signs.
Some little signs was there.
That it kept popping up, and it ran back, like trying to hide back. But we understand that what he just said wasn't cool. What he just did was not cool. Right, and then come back and apologize or try to sweep it underneath the rug. And I was challenging you because I always say, you don't need other people. A lot of times, I believe that we just need to observe more, sharper, than we normally do. Especially, my thing is, I always ask important questions. Whenever we have someone new that we meet people all the time. But I'm saying when we meet them to come into our inner circle, we get to make a decision. I get to make a decision where I choose to place you in my inner circle or in my life, right? I get to choose to observe you. I get to make that choice. No one else can make that choice. People can tell me whatever they want to tell me. But at the end of the day, God said, that's your choice. So our choices, right, has a way of affecting our future.
That's
and when
true.
you're dealing with relationships, right, there's two things I say. We never get taught in seminary how to handle money, how to manage people, and how to deal with relationships. And relationships are the most important thing because it helps you to know where you're going to place these particular people in your life, especially when they're important, right? So what you're saying about your leader, right, is like, my leader left me uncovered. And when you leave me uncovered, I'm going to take issue with you. You know, I'm going to take issue with you because I would never have done you that way. But I always say to people, just because you treat people right, don't mean that it's going to be the same way. So in families, we know, brothers and sisters, that we can grow up with people in the same household, have the same mom and dad, and don't feel as though we're being treated the same.
That's true.
And then war breaks out because then they take issue with you because either you have something they want or you got more attention.
That's true.
But your struggle was harder than theirs. But they couldn't endure your struggle, so that's why they didn't get that struggle. So I always say, just because, and even in leadership I watch, just because you wouldn't do your leader that way, don't mean that it gets reciprocated.
Right, because I mean, it left me like in a state of confusion because here it was people that act like they was all for the relationship, and I mean, you know,
people
he
want to
got
see
a crush.
success.
You know, I said, well, maybe they thought he had changed. You know, maybe they thought he had changed.
Well, we want to see we want to see everybody succeed. So that's why we're happy.
Next, here come all the questions, and I was like, you know, one minute they for you, the next minute they're like, you know. So I'm like, you for 1 minute, next minute here come, well, did he tell you everything? Well, this. So I'm like, what's going on?
So when I said there are some things about that you get to make a choice of, right? One of the questions I always say that I believe is this: who sent them? Meaning that when you get in a relationship, who sent that individual? Did God send them or did my enemy send them? And then two, what is it that I needed to learn? What is being shown to me? And why is it important?
I feel the lesson in all of this is never allow anybody to rush you. Make sure you go through that marriage counseling, because if I had to put my foot down and waited and we would have went through that counseling, no, I would have never married him.
Why you couldn't put your foot down?
Like I say, I was so busy caught up into what was going on family-wise and the pressure that was going on family-wise, trying to work, trying to manage my team, because she's very active. Like, I'm active in different things. She's active. She was in the band. You know, she was doing like the, like the little coach thing for the volleyball team. She's a part of Emory Hospital mentorship program. Okay. So between Yeah, she does a lot. She does a lot. She's working 2 jobs now. School year ready to start back, so I'm like, Genesis, you got to make a decision which one you gonna leave.
Right.
So, she's working Publix part-time and Chick-fil-A. So I'm constantly always running between my schedule and hers. And I guess you get that from me because when I was a part of New Order National Human Rights Organization some years ago, and that's an organization that fights police brutality and corruption, trying to bridge the gap between the community and officials, as well as police officers, making sure that, there is justice and not injustice. So I've had her out in the field with me with that when I was pastoring a church when she was younger. She was like my little armor bearer. She's been on the praise team, the choir, the dance ministry. So it's like little me growing up. But she's done more than what I was doing at her age because we didn't have jobs at that age.
Is that what she wanted to do, or you think she just leaned into that way? Because is that an expectation that you think that as a leader, that she was following your lead?
I'm sure she was. I never put her in anything. All I know is she gets home from school, she like, Mama, I signed up for this. I got practice this. So I was a band mom for a minute because I was able to make a lot of the games and, support her. So, and people tell me, you don't sit down. So what makes you think she gonna do it because you raised her?
So I got an important question here. What did you think she learned out of that relationship?
I hope she learned be more patient. I hope so. Get to know a person fully. Make sure to take that counseling. Look for the warning signs. Don't be so distracted. And that's an important thing. Don't become so distracted that you're overlooking when God is showing you those signs. Don't be so distracted that you're overlooking those signs. And don't be so caught up that you're overlooking these signs.
Okay. So do you think that she would take heed to that?
I don't know. Genesis is headstrong.
So she's headstrong.
So she got pretty much a little mind of her own, and she's one of my kids that me and my niece talk because both of them flow in the pathetic calling.
Okay.
So I'm like, she's the only one of my kids that's hard to figure out, and my niece said, one prophet recognized the net, so she's going to be hard for you to figure out, which that's been spoken over her life since she was a baby.
I find this generation a lot different.
They are so much different.
They're not as much concerned about what you say to them.
They're not.
But they're watching what you do. So what you have done, do you think that affects her choices and how she deals with relationships or with life?
From what I watch from Genesis in relationships, I feel like myself, when you have to walk away and leave, it hurts. But with her, she'd rather walk away than to stay.
Okay.
So that's the same thing with me. I will walk away before I stay and allow you to keep damaging me. And that's the same with her.
All right.
She's taught kids out of school, even in middle school, from committing suicide. She's a caretaker and a caregiver just as I am. She's compassionate. But she knows those boundaries. She knows when to pull away.
Okay.
So that's a good thing I recognize in her.
I hear and watch a lot of leaders, spiritual leaders, and I believe we like to think so, that our children will make these wise decisions and that we've invested time and energy.
She's making a mistake, though.
But what I see, the result is something different. They keep themselves busy and they want to always feel accepted by their peers.
She gets caught up in that.
They already know that
She
mom
gets
and dad I remember I had a talk with I think my second oldest, and she says, I know mom and dad loves me, but I needed to hear it from someone else. I needed to hear it from a man, because they have become a woman now. And so when she made this statement, I said, well, regardless of, I always told you that you were beautiful. Young ladies take that very seriously about, who am I? Am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? And do you want me? Do you like me?
I feel my daughter struggles. You know, I tell her no matter what she does, I'm proud of her. But like you say with kids, because she's the last of my kids, it's a 20+ year age gap between her and her sisters. Oh, she got siblings on both sides, this side and her dad's side. She's the baby of everybody. So it was hard for her trying to find her way in school. It was hard for her being bullied at school, and a lot of things she did not tell me and her father. Like you say, kids look for acceptance, and like I told her, you're not going to be accepted by everybody. I'm just sorry, that's the way God has it. He got you set aside for a purpose. So you cannot look for that acceptance. But like you say, we can talk all we want to, but they're still going astray. And like her father told me, you have to allow these kids to make their own mistakes and learn from them. One thing me and her father was hoping she would graduate before she got to be a mother, but unfortunately, but it's a blessing to me still, because babies are blessings. But she's expecting now, so, you know, she thought I was going to reject her. And I had to let her know, you are my child. I would never reject you, because I was a teen parent. My thing is to be a mother and be supportive. No, this was not our hopes for you.
Right, this was not planned.
It was not planned, but regardless to the fact you are our daughter, we gonna love you, we gonna support you. My mom, you know, made sure we still finish school. I told her, you're still going to finish school. You're still going to college. I'm going to help you with this baby, but make sure this is the last.
So do you think that's a generational thing?
It is to me.
Do you think,
now,
even with your relationship, do you think it was a generational thing?
I feel with her it had to be, because, you know, my mother came up in hard times, so affection was never showed. I show my kids more affection than what I was showed, because I lacked that. And because me and her father both had demanding jobs, and we was gone so much, and it's pretty like a child raising themselves pretty much, because I'm gone when
Latchkey kid.
Yeah, I'm gone before the sun comes up. I'm back home when the sun is down, so it's just enough time to probably talk to her, probably eat, then both of us go to bed and back up to start the day over again.
Right.
So even though she know we parents, but when you got two parents that's working all the time, but her father got a chance to spend a little more time with her than I did, like carry the Six Flags every year to the water park. That's her favorite thing. So a lot of things he got a chance to do more with, and she has a good bond with her other siblings on that side, especially
so she's
one
a
of
daddy's
the twins.
girl.
Yeah, she's a daddy's girl. Well, I don't know. She loved me, but she's a daddy's girl.
I didn't say that she didn't love you now. I just said she's a daddy's girl.
Even though me and him are not together, but I promise you, his girls talk to him more than they talk to us as the mothers.
And why do you think that's so? Because I have my beliefs, but I wanted to hear it from her.
To me, he give it to him straight. He's straightforward with them. He's a little more patient, but he was more the disciplinarian. I was more the softer parent, so she got away with more on me than she do with him.
Normally, that's the opposite. Normally, the mothers are the harder ones with their daughter, because it's that I'm learning to be a queen. And fathers are that's my daughter, and I don't think any man's going to be really good enough for her. So when we were talking about our daughters looking for traits, like I have a daughter, I have some daughters, and they like being around me. So and they like to hear my point of view. My boys will be more with mom, and so my wife really stays on my girls and let them know when they're wrong, even though they don't want to hear. They're adults. All my children are adults, but navigating relationships are hard. So our original topic was about leaders and about why are they stepping out or not covering the people. I will tell you that a lot of leaders are lacking that because they never address what was missing in the first place.
Okay.
When you become a leader and someone looks at your blind spot and tells you, you have a weakness, and your weakness might be women, let's say that, but you're married. And so, but this is your thing. You like beautiful, smart, intelligent women. And flirtatious women start saying certain things to you as a leader. Well, one of the things you need to do is guard yourself. Okay? Never put yourself in a situation you have no business being. One, by yourself. Right. Two, if that leader has a wife, then she needs to be by your side.
Exactly.
Unless she's taking care of something else, but then you have another leader come beside you, another male, be like, hey, don't do that. Or even say it to the person, don't do that. Why? Because it keeps you on guard. You want to guard yourself. Why? For them and for you. Because it's unhealthy. Right. Because it's a trick of the enemy. You're being used or manipulated to tear down a certain ministry. You're being used to tear down a certain person. Why? Because if that person is moving ahead and, let's say, ministry or anything that is constructive or conducive for the Lord, then the enemy will use someone else to attack them or hurt them or damage that ministry. So I find that a lot of people don't take notice of relationships and leaders because they think their leaders cannot fall or should not fall. And they are unaware of their leaders being tested.
Well, they got to understand, because I've been in ministry since I was a little girl. My first church I started off in was my late cousin, Reverend Homer Smith. He had a church right off Boulevard here in Atlanta, Mount Sinai Baptist Church. So before my mother even got saved, that was our family church. So I used to go with my great aunt and grandmother, them over there, and it was family. That was the type of church. After church, the sisters would be down in the downstairs part, had the plates fixed to sell and everything. And my mother, when she landed her job at General Motors, I was in the third grade around that time, second or third grade, when she landed a job at General Motors. And it was a pastor there, I don't know if he's living or not, Reverend Daniels, but Pastor Daniels. He had a church right off Martin Luther King, so that was the pastor that my mother was up under, that she got saved. So we came up under his leadership for a while. And, later on we went to the Move of God, the late Reverend Edward Anderson off Anderson Avenue. Reverend Edward Harris. Let me get his name right. Reverend Edward Harris. Don't y'all get me from the Move of God. So until I finished high school, we was up under him. And when I say he was an awesome leader, he did not play. When I say old school, we had to wear dresses and skirts. I wore dresses and skirts till I was able to get my senior year. So, and he was one of those type of pastors, if anybody was gossiping and it got back to him, anybody was acting up, he didn't even care about his own family. If anything they was doing that went against, his teachings of the Word of God, that was one of those pastors that sat you down.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
And you know, one thing I tell people about him, he never told anybody what to give him for no pastor appreciation. The members gave what was on their heart to give him. Anybody that he brought in to speak, he would tell the members, for those that can, get an envelope, you know. And he never put an amount on what to put in there. Whatever was laid on their heart to put in there, he would always go out to eat with us as members. Anybody had a baby, he was always there at the hospital. When I had my first baby, because I was young, she was a preemie, he had to come to the hospital and pray for me because the doctors told my mom without having an epidural, I was not going to deliver my daughter normally. And my mama reverted back to her pregnancy with me when she wasn't a teenager. She was grown, but she was in a coma before I even came out of her. And they wasn't expecting for her to live. She had to have 2 blood transfusions and was in a coma, I think, for over 16 and a half hours. So my aunt really named me. My mother did. My aunt named me because they didn't expect for my mom to make it. She only know when she came out that coma, they told I was here. So I was a little 3-pound baby, full term, but just 3 pounds.
So let me ask you. I'm asking you this difficult question. Fathers, are they your first leader, or is the pastor the first leader when it comes to let's use you for an example. When it comes to you, was your father the first leader, or was the pastor your first leader?
No, I was a daddy's girl. Me and my dad was so much of alike because we're those simple people. You know, my mom was more the bougie side, the strict disciplinarian. My dad was the one, he didn't believe in whooping or chastising. He just believed in talking to you, and that was it. And my mom was more the, you know, because they were separated when I was a baby. I used to love for him to come get us because it's like we got a chance to have some freedom with him. With my mom, if anything the church didn't do, we couldn't do. Right. So those weekends when Dad was out, when he wasn't driving trucks, I'm like, yes, Daddy, yes, come get me, yes. But he was more the easy one to talk to.
So did you learn more from, because I hear you talk more about mom, because it seems like you spent more time with mom, but you love being with Dad. So where do you think you got your leadership? I'm sorry. Where do you think you got your leadership? From mom or from Dad?
My mom.
From mom?
My mom. She's a praying woman, still is to this day. To be honest, we haven't had the best mother-daughter relationship, but I respect the God in her like no other. Her and my stepfather, when she did marry, they would get up every morning praying. Sometimes he was up before her. They was praying over the house and everybody else. They paid their tithes together. Even our school friends, they knew my mom was strict. But I promise you, they would come to our house, ask my mom to pray. And everybody, her bed have been everybody's bed. They'll come get up in the bed like we do. They'll be like, Grandma, I need you to pray for me. So from my mom, even when I want to give up, even on ministry, my mom like,
So your leadership comes from your mom and,
yes.
and not Dad.
Yes.
Do you think
Dad
a lot
didn't go to church?
I thought it would be most likely the grandfathers that didn't do that. But my question to you is, why do you think men are not so much in the house of the Lord anymore? Or I'm seeing more women leaders than I'm seeing males leaders. Why do you think that is at this particular juncture in life?
My father knew God, but my dad was like, the busy devils and hypocrites is in the house of God, because so many people in the church, and I faced it, I watched my mother face it, my sister, my niece. So many people could be so judgmental. And I was just discussing this recently about the cliques in the church, how leadership...
It's always been that.
Yeah, always been that, how you will be overlooked. Sometimes some leaders are afraid to let you go. They could see what's in you, but some of them fear if you're going to be more so than what they are, you should push people more and not be afraid of that.
Right.
I've been held back so much in ministry till it's sad.
Is it because they don't know themselves, or is it because of covetousness? Some people would still like to say the word jealousy, but
it is jealousy. It's a lot of time you're not running your house. You're allowing who's covering you to run your house, dictate to you how your house should be ran. I'm more the controversial person that people have a problem with because I'm so much out here with people in the industry. And they have a problem with that, but I'm a people person. God is no respecter of person. I don't know them by what they do out here in the industry. I know them for themselves, their heart, their relationship with God. They talk to me more. They respect me more because I come and sit and talk to them and get to know them. Where you got other people that's in the church that's judge them and not even getting a chance to know them. So when I'm out here, I'm taking my piece. I'm like, why hide? Because God sees all. Mm-hmm. He sees all. The same thing I do, you do behind the closed door, but because I'm doing it publicly, it's always a problem.
Well, I like to say this. There are people, and I don't like to use the word judgment as much as you should get taught by your leadership being a good fruit inspector. Examine people's fruit, mm-hmm. which means I'm checking out your character. Mm-hmm. We might, if your fruit is unhealthy for me, mm-hmm. that's not being judgmental. That's just being wise. Because why? It prevents me from being hurt by you, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are doing things or I'm not in agreement with, I don't have to tear down your ministry, and I don't have to tear you down.
Right.
I can just say, this is not going to work. And people will go in and have dinner with someone and go someone because they know that this is not going to work out well. So they'll sit there, have dinner, and then never call that individual back. Why? Mm-hmm. Because they know this is not going to work out. Well, the same thing in the body. If it's going to be unhealthy for me, right, then I must depart ways. No different than what we see. And I use the example of when Paul and Barnabas had to split over John Mark, his cousin, right? This is not going to work. This is going to be unhealthy. And Paul's like, that's right. I ain't going out like that. You got me once, you ain't getting me again. I'm done.
Right.
Right? So he takes Silas, and Barnabas takes John Mark. But what ends up happening? Ministry work is still being done.
Exactly.
Right. Then he comes back. We see later on when he's writing his book and say, hey, send him to me, that because he is profitable for me at this particular time.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Shameka, we have run out of time. We have addressed the issue about leadership and their poor decision making with why they're cheating, why they're making decisions not to cover their people. Mm-hmm. But I need to give you the last word.
Go
Ladies
ahead.
first.
Go ahead. All I can say is men and women, because it goes hand in hand, just be careful, be mindful, pay attention, because God do give us the discerning of spirits. So sometimes we know, but because we're so, the enemy will send all type of distractions and we're off focus. But when you feeling it in your spirit, pay more attention to it, because God is trying to tell you something. So don't be too distracted. Wait, take your time, get counseling, do a little more searching. We know some marriages can happen quick, but some are not made to happen that quick.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I will say this. We thank you for your time. If I can leave you with something, it will be this. Before you make any decisions, always stream them through the Word of God. Ask Him first and foremost, and you will get an answer. It might not be the answer that you're looking for, but you will get an answer. So I am Elder Jones from Mind of a Man, and now you know what's on my mind from this man. Bless y'all all, and thank you.